Wow, I already drank that whole shake? This is lab-created red Beryl, also called Bixbite. In nature, a piece of Bixbite this large would be very, very rare and priceless. Natural red Beryl is an extremely rare variety of beryl and is one of the rarest minerals on Earth. The beryl family includes emerald, aquamarine, morganite, heliodor, goshenite, and Bixbite. The Utah Geological Survey estimated that one red beryl is found for every 150,000 diamonds. And according to the Gemological Association of Great Britain, a 2-carat red beryl has the same rarity as a 40-carat diamond. So knowing these facts, you can tell that this was created in a lab. First, by the size. Again, it doesn't get this big in nature. Secondly, this was grown using the hydrothermal method. For the hydrothermal method, a slice of beryl is used as a seed, and the red beryl grew from that seed. In this case, for some unknown reason, the lab did use a slice of beryl as a seed, but they used a slice of emerald for beryl, which again, also beryl, but that gave it a green stripe down the center to make this a very unique piece of rough. Having that green stripe across the center really makes this piece of rough stand out. So when I came across this piece of rough a while back, I had to have it. I bought it, and ever since then I've been wondering what I'm going to cut it into. So recently I cut a design called Spellbound using a large piece of Rose de France amethyst, which is a lightly colored amethyst, and it turned out great. Here's the link to that video where I cut the Rose de France. And in that video I explain all about the awesome Spellbound design which many cutters have enjoyed cutting. As I was cutting my Rose de France into the Spellbound design, I had a thought that this might be the right design to use for this unique piece of lab-created red beryl. I thought that if I orient that green stripe across the center of the Spellbound design, that would make a very interesting looking gemstone. But the problem I initially faced was that the rectangle Spellbound design was created for cutting a gemstone with a length to width ratio of 1.5 to 1. This piece of rough is not narrow enough for a 1.5 length to width unless I cut the sides in and sacrifice a considerable amount of carat weight. This piece of rough is more shaped to accommodate a 1.25 length to width ratio. I believe I could create something like an 8 by 10 millimeter gemstone from it. Now, an 8 by 10 would be what is called a calibrated size, and it's much easier to find a mounting, such as a pendant or a ring, to fit a calibrated gemstone. To cut this into a 1.5 length to width ratio, it would either need to be about 12 millimeters long, which it isn't, or I would need to cut the width down to about 6.67 millimeters wide, and that would not be a calibrated size, so the mounting would then have to be custom made, which would drive the price of the final piece of jewelry up when compared to using a piece of jewelry created for a calibrated size. As there are many gem and lapidary companies that offer a variety of findings, pendants, earrings, rings, etc., which are made for a gemstone, the centerpiece, of a calibrated size to fit into. They would not have a finding of 10 by 6.67 millimeters, for example. But they would have many choices of findings to fit an 8 by 10 millimeter center stone. And you do have about 0.1 or maybe 0.2 millimeters to play with on those dimensions without any problems. So I decided to tweak the Spellbound design to change the length to width ratio from 1.5 to 1.25. Fortunately, GemCut Studio, or GCS software, is able to adjust the length to width of a gem fasting diagram, and I have taught myself to use the GCF software over the past year or so, at least at the novice level. And I recently made a tutorial on how to use GCS to change the length to width of a gem fasting diagram. In this case, I used a Spellbound design to make these changes for this gemstone. And here is a link to that tutorial video if you're interested. In fact, I made a series of GCS tutorial videos showing you how to use all the features of GCS and I created a playlist of my GCS tutorials and all the other GCS tutorials that I could find on YouTube. Put them all into this playlist for anybody wishing to learn about Beryll's GCS software. And here's a link to that playlist. And here are the tweaked cutting instructions for cutting Spellbound using a 1.25 length to width ratio. Now let me note here that, again, there is nothing wrong with the Spellbound design at the 1.5 length to width. It's an awesome design, which for many of my fellow cutters have used, and they have all been very happy with the unique Spellbound gemstones that they cut with this design. Again, I only tweaked the design because of this unique piece of rough that I have, which I didn't want to make smaller, as in narrower, by using the 1.5 length to width ratio. The Spellbound design was created by Jeff Ronimus at the end of 2019, and when he put the design into the public domain for all cutters to give a try, it became an instant hit. Everyone that I know who has cut a gem using Jeff's design has raved about the finished gemstone. Good job, Jeff. So please give this design a try. Jeff says that his Spellbound design works best for lightly saturated gem material. Jeff said he personally likes cutting his design in quartz, topaz, and Oregon sunstone. Now, this red beryl isn't light, but one can't have everything, so I'll give it a try anyway. Okay, for placing our Bixbite, lab-created Bixbite with emerald seed in the center. I put the seed in the center of the dop, and you orient it so that the lengthwise of our emerald is horizontal to the 96 index, 96 tooth, and then you tighten the set screw and we'll be ready to cut our Bixbite into our Spellbound design and see how that turns out. Okay, so I've got everything pre-polished on my pavilion with my 12M, about a 1500 grit lap, and now I'm going to polish with my creamway lap with some cerium oxide. We'll see how this comes along. I'm really interested to see how this turns out, so we'll polish the pavilion. Okay, I have a little bit of polishing left to do on the, each of the sides has a facet, one there and one there, that needs polishing, but we're pretty much done with the pavilion. So yeah, there's that flash of green. I have no idea how this is going to turn out, but I want to see, so I'll continue to finish the pavilion with those final facets to polish. Okay, I finished polishing the pavilion of our Bixbite with emerald seed, and so now I'll transfer the stone and we'll be able to cut the upper half. Our red beryl or Bixbite polished right up with cerium oxide and creamway lap, so now I'll cut the table, polish the table, and we'll be done with this gemstone, be able to take a look at it. I'm interested to see how that green stripe affects the look of the final stone. Finished polishing the table of our red beryl, and so now I will soak it in the acetone and remove our adhesive, and so we can take a look at it and weigh it, measure it, and send it off to BOPIE. In this video, I used a very special piece of gemstone rough that I had been holding on to for a while, and I cut it using the awesome Spellbound gem design by Jeff Ronimus. I used a piece of lab-created red beryl, which again has been grown from a seed of emerald for some unknown reason by the lab. Maybe they didn't have any red beryl seed at the time, who knows. This design is suitable for any faceter to give a try, but I would recommend a new cutter wait until they've cut a few other stones before tackling this design, simply because it requires the cutter to frost some facets on the pavilion, and that technique, frosting, takes a little practice. I think that the green emerald stripe across the middle of the gemstone really makes it unique, and the Spellbound design just makes the entire gemstone fascinating to look into. I think the final gemstone turned out great, but please let me know in the comments your thoughts on this gemstone and of Jeff's Spellbound design. And if you have cut a gemstone using Jeff's Spellbound design, please let us know in the comments what gem material you cut and how it turned out. And as always, happy fasting, everyone.